So today we are going to be solving an interesting algebraic problem. It has been given that if value of x cubed plus 4x equals to 8, then using this, the question over here is to find the value of x to the power 7 plus 64x squared plus 2. So this is Anmol, and now let us see the solution. How can we solve this problem? Okay, now let us start with the solution. So the first thing that I will do is I will take the first equation and subtract 8 on both of the side. Therefore, this equation will now turn out to be x cubed plus 4x minus 8 equals to 0. Okay, now we can see that we have this equation, and using this, we have to find the value of this particular expression. Now to do so, there are two ways. The first method is to solve this particular equation in order to get the value of x, and when you will get the value of x, you can substitute that value in this expression. But that would be a quite ridiculous way, because in this expression we can see it is x to the power 7. And suppose you didn't got a very nice value for x. Suppose it's not a real number, it comes in a complex form or some kind of square root form. Then it would be a quite difficult task to do. So what we can do? So for that we can use the second method, in which we will try to find the value of some kind of term in a whole. Like we can directly find the value of this expression or something related to this expression. So for that we have to take a closer look to this expression. So the expression is like this way: x to the power 7 plus 64x squared plus 2. So we can see that the terms related to this expression are x to the power 7, x squared, and if I take x squared common from these first two terms, inside the bracket I get x to the power 5 plus 64, and outside the bracket plus 2. So we can see that x to the power 5 is also important. So in order to get the value of this particular expression, I need to get the value of this term as a whole, or else any kind of equation in which these terms are involved. So for that we need to take the help of this one. So for that, let me just remove this thing and write down these important terms on the corner of the page. So the important terms are x to the power 7, x to the power 5 and x squared. So as I told you, the goal over here is to find some kind of equation in which these terms are used, or else we can get the value of this term directly. So I will take this equation, and now what I will do is I will simply multiply x to the power 4 on both of the side. Therefore, x cubed plus 4x minus 8 multiplied with x to the power 4 equals to 0 multiplied with x to the power 4. So on the left hand side, when we open the bracket, this thing will turn out to be x to the power 7 plus 4x to the power 5 minus 8 times x to the power 4 equals to 0. So here we have got this particular equation, and in this we have the important term x to the power 7. We have the second important term, that is x to the power 5, but still we have the term x to the power 4, and this is not present in the important term list. So we need to try to exclude this variable. So for that I will take the same equation, and this time I will multiply x on both of the side. So I will get x cubed plus 4x minus 8 multiplied with x equals to 0 multiplied with x. So on the left hand side, when we open the bracket, the thing will turn out to be x to the power 4 plus 4x squared minus 8x equals to 0 into x, that is going to be 0. So here we have got this second equation. The thing we got this equation is to exclude the variable x to the power 4 in this equation. So to exclude that variable, first of all what I will do is I will take this equation and multiply 8 on both of the side. So this equation will now look like 8 times x to the power 4 plus 32 times x squared minus 64 times x equals to 0 into 8, that is going to be 0. Okay, so now this is the second equation, and the first important equation was this one. So now what I will do is I will simply add this both equation. Now the reason we are adding this both equation, you will come to know. So the left hand side of the first equation, that is x to the power 7 plus 4 times x to the power 5 minus 8 times x to the power 4. Now this thing added with the left hand side of the second equation, that is 8 times x to the power 4 plus 32x squared minus 64 times x, and this thing equals to 0 plus 0, that is going to be 0. Now on the left hand side we can see negative 8 times x to the power 4, positive 8 times x to the power 4 can be cancelled out. So what is finally remaining is x to the power 7 plus 4 times x to the power 5 plus 32 times x squared minus 64 times x equals to 0. So here we have got one of the important equations, so I am writing it down over here. And we need to solve this thing further. So for that I will take the first equation again, that was x cubed plus 4x minus 8 equals to 0. So the first thing that I will do is I will multiply x square on both of the side. So x square multiplied with x cube plus 4x minus 8 equals to x square multiplied with 0. So this thing will finally give me x to the power 5 plus 4x cube minus 8x square equals to 0. X square into 0 becomes 0. Okay. So this is the third equation we have got. I will multiply this equation over here with negative 4. So when I will do so, this equation will look like negative 4x cube negative 16 times x plus 32, and this thing equals to negative 4 into 0, that is going to be 0, and this becomes the equation number 4. Now the reason we multiplied negative 4 in this equation, because we can get a term that is negative 4x cube. So what I will do next is I will simply add this to equation. Therefore the term negative 4x cube and the other term positive 4x cube will cancel out each other. So finally we will have x to the power 5 minus 8x square minus 16 times x plus 32 equals to 0. Okay. Now remember this important equation. In this we have 4 times x to the power 5 positive 32x square negative 64 times x. Now as we have discussed before, we have to get an equation in terms of x to the power 7 and x square. So I can say that using this both equation, the only thing possible is to get an equation in terms of x to the power 7 and x square. And to do so, I will simply multiply 4 in this equation that we have just got. So this thing will turn out to be 4 times x to the power 5. 8 into 4 will become negative 32. Negative 16 into 4 will become negative 64, and 32 into 4 will give me 128. Okay. Now carefully take this particular equation and move the term negative 32x square and positive 128 on the other side. So when you will do so, this equation will look like 4 times x to the power 4 minus 64 times x equals to 32 times x square minus 128. So now we have got this particular equation, and if you observe carefully, you can notice in this important equation we have 4 times x to the power 5 minus 64 times x, and the equation that we have just got gives us the value of 4 times x to the power 5 minus 64 times x. So we can simply replace this thing with this value. So first of all, this important equation can be written as x to the power 7 plus 32 times x square plus 4 times x to the power 5 minus 64 times x equals to 0. We just rearrange the term on the LHS. Now this complete term for x to the power 5 minus 64 times x can be replaced with this particular value. Therefore x to the power 7 plus 32 times x square plus, now the value of that term is 32 times x square minus 128 equals to 0. Now by adding this like term and moving this term on the other side, the final equation will look like x to the power 7 plus 64 times x square equals to 128. So here we have got the value of the equation x to the power 7 plus 64 times x square equals to 128. So now we have got this particular equation, and if you recall the expression whose value we need to find, it was x to the power 7 plus 64 times x square plus 2. Now the value of x to the power 7 plus 64 times x square can be replaced with 128. Therefore 128 plus 2, that is equals to 130, and this is the answer that we were looking for. So this was my way to solve this particular problem. If you have any other method other than this, do comment below, and if it's hard to comment, you can email me, or else you can send it to me on my Instagram. The link is in the description.